hope, passion, resilience, purpose, struggles, triumph, motives. Every person has a story, a reason for being who they are. If we take the time to listen, we can begin to understand their unique way of seeing the world. Welcome to the second chapter of the My Story podcast. I'm your host, Ari. Guys, welcome back to another episode of the My Story podcast. Thank you so much for all the love we've been receiving, and each story has just been back-to-back amazing. I don't really know what to say about that. I know I have learned a lot from each guest, and I know you guys have. So I don't want to get a lot into that because I have obviously a new guest this week. And this person is very interesting, very creative, and though she does not like the word creative, but if you look at her, you just know she's very creative, okay? And she's a good friend of mine, and I really want to listen to more of her story because she's very unique, and unique people usually have great stories. So without further ado, Allie, welcome to the My Story podcast.
Are you saying I look like an art kid? That's what I was getting from that. She looks really creative. Side eye.
No, but what I mean about that, everything you wear, your outfits are very unique and creative. So you kind of look like a creative person. I don't know what to say.
I'll take it.
It's a compliment.
I won't rip
it's a
into you
compliment.
anymore, but I'll be thinking it in my brain later when this comes up again.
You're after the podcast, we're going to have a conversation.
I will be the only hate comment in this video. I will be in there oh, ew. You know?
What do you mean you look creative?
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, you have pink hair. That's
I do?
unique, That's very unique and classic, so it's cool,
Yeah, thanks.
That's what I mean.
I appreciate it, yeah. My best friend dyed it for me, so she will be very happy when this comes out. She'll be like, my handiwork.
See?
My masterpiece, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all her. Yeah, I touch it up every once in a while, but it's mostly her, yeah.
She does an amazing job, and also that's very distinctive of you because since I've met you, you always have pink hair.
Yeah.
And it's there goes Allie. That's her right there.
You can spot me. I stop traffic. If I need to cross the road, no problem. They'll see me. It's no big deal.
Facts. So Allie, can you please share maybe a story of your last name if you have one?
Okay. Actually, so when you sent me this question and I've seen it on other people's, I was trying to come up with a good story. So I was talking to my dad about it, and he was like, well, so Murphree itself means sea warrior, but that's not important to the story. It's just a fact. But my dad's family is originally from Ireland.
Okay.
And so back before the potato famine in Ireland, I'm not gonna, you guys could look it up.
Look it up.
Yeah, but they pissed off can I say that? They made the king of England really, really mad for some reason, our family did. And I don't know the exact context of why they made him mad, but we needed to escape to America so that way he didn't find us and execute us. So the reason why there's so many different spellings of Murphree, so many different spellings is because we were trying to run away from him, so he couldn't find us. So if we had different names, he wouldn't be able to track us all down. So hence the name Murphree. That's really morbid. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm just shocked because we had another guest whose last name is also Murphy.
Yeah.
So I'm do they know this story?
I probably not. My dad literally just told me this maybe a week or two ago. So, because we were discussing it, I was I don't know what to say for this. I don't know. But, yeah. So
that's actually really interesting, though.
It's a weird story, for sure.
It is weird, but it's really interesting. It's I don't know, I'll maybe deep dive into that because it's very interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true. He could just be making that up. It'd be a great movie plot, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to imagine it in my head.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. Don't take my word for that. That could just be lore that's not real, but
it's still, if it is true, it's really unique and very interesting how why Murphy immigrated here.
Yeah, because a lot of people are your family's Irish. Typically, they move over here because of the potato famine. But we were there before the potato famine, so you could say we're trendsetters.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Trendsetters. That's the new one. That's cool. That's actually really cool. Okay, so moving on from your very interesting last name story. Why are you laughing at me? Very serious.
It's very, very interesting. Yeah.
It is. It is very interesting.
Weird.
It's odd. Yes. But moving on from that, who are you? Like, what do you do? What do you study?
So,
where are you from?
Okay, so the where I'm from question is a bit complicated because my parents have moved around a lot. So my parents are split up. So one of them lives in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and then one of them lives in Illinois. But originally, all three of us are from Branson, Missouri. So, you know, like baby Nashville is kind of what I've been calling it. Very showbiz, very flashy, very touristy. But I spent, I think, a majority of my life either in O'Fallon, Missouri, and then St. Peter, Illinois, which is not even on a map. Like it's not considered a town, because it doesn't have enough people, so it's considered a village, which is.
That's interesting.
I didn't even know like places like that exist until we moved there. Like it's so tiny. Everyone's in everyone's business all the time. Like everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
It's full of old people. It's like I think we have maybe like 300 people in our town.
Wow.
Which was like the same amount I had at my high school because the high school was like a combined high school. So it like combined the different towns that were around us. And so I had, I think like 63 in my graduating class, I'm pretty sure. I think. I don't know. There was a few people that dropped out like right before graduation, so I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so where I'm from is a bit complicated, but typically when people ask me, I say Branson just because that's like the place I'm connected to the most, or that I would like to be more connected to rather than Cornfield, Illinois. So I'm an advertising major.
Okay.
So I'm an advertising major, interactive design minor. So basically that means that I hang out with Professor Simmons a lot. So, but I am the creative director of SC Creative, and that's how most people know me, is I'm one of the people that is at the like welcome back picnics or involvement fairs, holding up flyers, trying to get you to join my advertising cult. And that's usually how most people know
That's
me
actually
as.
how I knew you at first.
Yeah, because okay, this is actually a really funny story. So the first time I met Ari, we were at freshman convocation, even though technically Ari is not a freshman, but you are new to SEMO. So they like had all the new transfers in there as well. So not only was I being judged by a group of freshmen, but also people that had just transferred there. And they were like, oh, just like come to freshman convocation. Like you don't have to talk. You just have to like sit there and represent. I was like, cool. I can sit in a corner. No problem. Like I will be there in my shirt and I will be there. And then Dr. Buck gets up there and starts talking about how great the mass media department is, because it is great. It should be hyped up as much as it can be. And then she calls all the clubs over and she's like, oh guys, like, can you like talk a little bit about your club? And I just look over at Simmons and just glare at him. Like, are you serious right now? Because I was not prepared at all. So I just had to go up there. It was just me and my friend Abby, who's not even a mass media major. It was just in SC Creative. And I had to stand up there and talk about how great my club is. And then I think we might have been the only club that was unprepared, because then the other clubs like SCTV and the Arrow, they get up there, rock stars. Amazing. They had like planned points to talk about. I was just up there like, yeah, it's cool. Sometimes we get like pizza. And then they're like, yeah, like we go on all these trips to March Madness and like we have a great like facility and it's awesome. And then so that was the first time I met Ari. I probably looked so lame, but like,
to be fair, the whole time I was like, wow, that's cool. She has pink hair.
Honestly, that's probably what most people took away from that, because I don't think I said anything of substance that entire meeting. Like,
I think you did, because I think a lot of people also like signed up afterwards for
they
SC
did,
Creative.
and I think it was mostly Simmons, because Simmons he always rocks it when talking about advertising. Believe it or not, the advertising professor, he's kind of good at advertising his own major. Like, yeah,
Shocker.
I know. He actually is the one that convinced me to be an advertising major because I used to be an art major. And then he was like, no, you'd probably be better at advertising, you know? Like, no basis off of this at all. He was just like, you'd probably be better at advertising. I was like, yeah, you're right. And then I just dropped out of art and I just changed it. Yeah. I mean, there's a little more to it than that. But
so you started as an art major.
Yeah.
Like, I've known you now for a bit, and I've seen you, like, your drawings. You actually did the mascot for the Southeast Aero, which, if you guys saw the promo for this podcast, you know who I'm talking about. If not, go to the Instagram and look up Allie's promo, and you'll see Quilliam there and the inspiration behind the Southeast Aero mascot.
Yeah.
She drawed him, and he's the cutest thing.
Yeah, I love him. He's over there right now in the corner watching us. So
yeah, he actually is.
Yeah, he's supporting.
Okay, so since when have you been drawing?
Oh, since like I can even remember like breathing. So
like,
I think like forever.
Is this second nature to you then?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's always been second nature. I think like the desire to want to draw has always been part of my nature. But it's definitely, like, an acquired skill. Like, it's something that had to be, like, honed over time. Like, you can, like, see my drawings back from when I was in, like, freshman high school, and they're terrible. They're so bad. Like, what is anatomy? I don't know. I didn't know then. So, but it's gotten a lot better as I've, like, grown up and learned new mediums and skills. I'm definitely more of a digital artist now, but back in the day I loved colored pencils and markers, and now it's hard for me to pick up like colored pencils just because I'm like, I don't have all the colors I have on the computer. That's like so lame, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely I've always loved drawing. I come from a family of artists. Okay. My great grandmother was a watercolor painter, very talented.
Wow.
Sorry, I like had to whoa. But she had like a lot of paintings in museums, and like she was just very, very talented and well known in her community. And then I think she passed that art gene down to like my dad and his brothers. And so I was around my dad and his brothers a lot. Like I would say that my uncles kind of like helped raise me a little bit. So I was just surrounded by like artists my entire life. And my dad, he's recently gotten back into art. He took a break for a while because, you know, just life things, didn't have time for it. It wasn't his like job like it is mine. And so he didn't have time for it. So lately I've been like helping him get back into art, and he's really talented. Like I'll show you later. He was drawing a dragon last night and he was sending me pictures, but he's very talented. Like I would argue like his line work and his like technical talent is like way superior than mine. So I just look up to him a lot when it comes to that. So
I have two questions. My first one is, has art been then like a bonding activity for you and your family?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. We when we go down and visit Branson, where my uncles still live, we don't live there anymore, as I said. But when we go down and visit, we have an art night, an uncle and like it's like they designated it as brothers art night, bro art night, but bro art night plus Allie. Allie can come. She can come and she can sit in the corner and drink her juice box and draw. And so that's just been kind of something we implemented like past few years. I think they've always had like little art nights, but then they just finally started inviting me, and I was like, me? The honor I have to come to these bro art nights? I'm involved. I'm an adult. Like
nice.
So yeah, so definitely bonding. And then me and my dad, we have when I go home and visit, we like spend like maybe 15 to 30 minutes every night before we go to bed and draw together, or we play a video game together. It depends on what we're vibing with that night. So if we're like, oh, I could draw right now, like that's what we'll do. But sometimes we'll be just lazy and want to lay on the couch and play Mario Kart. So like it kind of just depends. But yeah, art has always been kind of a unifying thing in the Murphree family, like all different mediums, like film and like yeah, drawing and painting, but like also like movies and music, and just kind of like very artsy family. We're like the cast of Victorious, but like a family. So
nice. You mentioned your dad a lot. That means like your dad's very important in your life. Like,
Yeah.
you're like best friends.
I mean, yeah, kind of. We're buddies, you know.
That's
like,
so cool.
I love my dad. I mean, despite popular belief, I do have a dad. Like, I know that's hard to believe. Maybe don't include that. That might be bad. Don't say that. But no, me and my dad have always been buddies, you know. So, and I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I'm like also really close with my mom.
Yeah.
We're talking about my dad right now, and like, I have a great relationship, I think, with all of my parents. I have 4, which so I have 2 step parents, and I have 2 well, obviously I have 2 biological parents. I don't know how I would have gotten here otherwise.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they're all 4 of them are great. My stepdad has like been awesome, especially recently. But he says that he doesn't like being called a stepdad. He wants to be called a bonus dad. Stepdad's too formal, so it's like bonus dad. You know,
bonus. I like how it has like a bonus dad. Like,
he's on my phone as bonus dad. So like whenever I'm like talking to Sierra, like, hey, call bonus dad. Like,
it actually sounds better than stepdad.
Yeah, no, bonus dad makes more sense. It's like, oh, I get an add-on. Like, cool.
Yeah,
upgrades. You know,
it actually sounds really cool.
Yeah, so all my parents are great. I love all 4 of them. And they're awesome. Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm going to ask a question regarding that later. But
yeah.
For my second question, was your background, like your family background in art, influence like a great deal in what you wanted to study, like your major, or what you wanted to do in life?
I wouldn't say my family really influenced that. My family is supportive no matter what I do. Like, I mean, obviously, if I mess up like super bad, they'd probably be like, hey, dude, like chill pill. Like if I like join the circus, they'd probably be a little worried, but most of the time they're pretty supportive about what I choose to do. But I wouldn't say that the artists in my family, that's not their full-time job. Well, except one of them, but I'll talk about him later. But like their job is not art. So they have other jobs and art's like a hobby for them. So I never really thought that like art would be like an option for me for a while, because like I always wanted to do something creative, whether that be, for most of my life I wanted to be a fashion designer, and I actually applied to FIT, the New York Fashion School.
Okay.
I didn't get in. I got like waitlisted or something like that, something like some technical thing. But I was like, it's probably not happening. It's really expensive. I didn't get a scholarship, so I was like, never mind. But fashion design was an option, and I think that's what I really wanted to do for a while there. And then I think just like it just lost the appeal for me. So I wouldn't say my family really influenced me wanting to go into an art field, but they did influence me in wanting to go into a creative field. So something that requires me to, you know, think outside the box, like use the skills I do have to try to like, I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Yeah, the best way I can describe is they didn't make me want to be an artist, but they did make me want to be creative in whatever field I chose. So.
Okay. No, I asked because you know this ongoing debate on nature versus nurture. So it doesn't really apply here, but given your background that your like whole family like does like art and you are into art too, and you're very good at it. I've seen your work.
Thank you.
No, you're an amazing artist. So I was just kind of curious regarding that. So what are some hardships you've probably faced throughout your life that has helped you form maybe who you are now, especially as a very artistic or thinker outside the box person? I don't know how you say that. But you definitely do have different points of view in life, and like how did life experiences have helped you determine what you do now?
That is a great question. So I would say probably, I think high school was a very changing time for me. And maybe not even just high school, but when we moved to Illinois from like O'Fallon, like I said, like where I live at in Illinois is like a cornfield, middle of nowhere. And we go from O'Fallon, Missouri, which is kind of this like suburb city type area, to like cornfield, dirt, like, you know, like just middle of nowhere. It was just a very weird culture shift, because while I may have been like normal and like just like an average kid in O'Fallon, I felt like a complete alien. Like when I went to Illinois, everyone not dissing these hobbies, by the way. I think they're awesome. I just never got into them. But like everyone was very into hunting and farming and agriculture. And I think that's so cool. I have so many friends that are just so into it, but I just didn't relate to it at all.
Okay.
Because I was like a city girl my whole life. So like when I went there, and it felt too late to get into that stuff, especially hunting. Like that was like a big thing in my town. Everyone loved deer hunting season. Like we got out of school for it. There was like 2 days where people like got out of school early for deer hunting season. Like that's how rural my town was. But like it felt too late to get into it at that point, and I just was having a hard time like connecting with my classmates because we just didn't have any common interests. Like maybe like one or two things like kids like, like silly bands or what was cool when I was a kid, like Disney XD or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like we had like TV in common. And I think that's where I started like linking pieces together. You've had conversations with me before where literally every other word out of my mouth was a movie reference or a TV show reference. And that's because I somehow like linked the two things. Like, oh, people know movies, people know TV shows. If I just like reference that a whole bunch, make references, people will like bond with me. Like, cause like we've seen the same show.
Yeah.
I think it's like the same energy as like back whenever TV shows were on cable and you'd have to like tune in to the show at a certain time and people would be like, oh, did you see that episode of The Office last night? Like, you're bonding over it. Mm-hmm. But in like an age where streaming is a thing, like that's a little harder. So you have to like find stuff that everyone's seen. And I've definitely gotten a lot better about like not saying every single word as a movie reference or like, I mean, it depends on who I'm with. Like if I'm with like Luke and Abby, my roommates, I'll just like yap about TikToks and like YouTube and stuff that doesn't make any sense to anyone else. But sorry, where was I going with this? I had a point. Where was I going with this?
We were talking about hardships and
yeah. I just felt very out of place, I think, is what it was. And that followed me like my entire rest of my time in Illinois. Like, I mean, I still live there. I don't know why I'm acting like I don't live there. But like in middle school and high school, it just was really rough for me because I wasn't connecting with anyone. Like I felt like the weird kid. And I mean, I was a weird kid. I'll admit that. I can admit that to myself. But it's the being an art kid in a town full of people that didn't really appreciate art or pop culture or anything like that, and we're only mainly focused on like hunting and farming and stuff like that. It was rough for me because kids are mean, like especially little kids. They have no filter. I see my little 7-year-old sister now, love her to death, but like if someone's like ticking her off, she'll tell you. Like she'll say it to your face. With her. Like I think this one time she literally went up to a girl and she's like, "You're annoying," and then just like walked away. So I'm like, we're working on it. I promise. Like we'll get there. But but like that's just kind of the energy little kids have. Like they don't have the emotional maturity yet to deal with someone that's different than them. So if like you're different, you're weird, So that's just kind of the energy that I was giving off. I was a little off-putting as a kid. I was very I think when I first got there, I was very like Wednesday Addams core, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Very like emo, dark, didn't want to talk to anyone. I think I tried to at first, like try to be very extroverted like how I am now. But I think I like was like, oh, this isn't working. So I'm like cave back in.
At what point did you like drift and like kind of accept it? Like, this is who I am. This is just like my way of expressing myself in a way. Like when did you like transfer from being that very introverted person to this extroverted version of yourself?
Oh yeah, the wonderful ENFP version of myself that I am now. So
you don't have to get into specifics, but like
I'm trying to think of like a turning point. Like I think so. Like my junior year of high school, COVID shut like everything down, and because of that, I kind of had this like romanticized view of high school, even though it was really sucky for me the 2 years prior to that. For some reason, I had like tricked myself into believing, oh, it wasn't that bad. I just need to like open up more. I just need to do this, and this. Like I needed to like, I want people to like me. And like, I somehow think I like cracked the code like a scientist in COVID. Like, oh yeah, if I'm just like prettier, if my hair's longer, like just stupid stuff that like doesn't matter. I was like trying to like come up with some formula to make myself popular or like well liked. And so then when we got back to school, it worked for a little while, but I was like pretending to be someone that I wasn't. I was pretending to be this like chill popular girl who just doesn't care about anything. I don't care about anything. Like nothing affects me. I have no emotion. I'm just chill, you know?
Yeah.
And I detest that now. Like I hate that. I hate when people pretend they don't care because they think it's cool. It is cool to care. It's cool to care about stuff. But at the time I was like, oh, I don't care about anything. I'm just laid back and cool and like you can't bother me, like whatever. But it got to be too much and I started getting really, really bad mental health. Like really bad. Like probably one of the lowest points my mental health has ever gotten, ever. And I was like losing friends left and right because I was getting too sad or too dull or too boring. And so it got to the point where I had no friends. Like I was literally alone all the time. And it just got too much. And, you know, I almost did something really stupid, if you're catching my drift.
Yeah.
And luckily I didn't, it didn't work somehow, but I was fine. But right after my almost stupid happened, I can't say the word. I don't want to get like you in trouble at all for talking about this.
Well, I get it. And I'm glad it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work. I'm still here, thank God, because I would have missed out on all of this. But I just remember like when it first almost happened, I was sitting on the floor with my cat, and my cat was mad because I hadn't fed him that day. Yeah, I know. My cat, he's my best friend. My cat is. Well, besides my actual best friend, my human best friend. But my cat is my best friend. And he was like pawing at me. He's like, feed me. And so I took him over to where his food bowl is, and he didn't eat his food. And I was really confused. And I think it's because he could like feel that I was sad. And I think he was just like, I was like, man, like if my cat is this worried about me, I can't imagine like what my family is feeling right now. So I think that's what like snapped me out of it. I was like, oh crap, like my family probably is like suffering through this with me. So I wouldn't say I had like a complete 360. It takes time, you know, but I did go back to therapy after like many years of like not going, and it was really helpful for me. I would highly recommend therapy to anyone that's like, even just like someone that's not struggling too much, like just having someone to talk to. It's like, it's so relieving to like have someone validate how you're feeling. But it was a really hard time for me, and I didn't have a lot of friends, so no one really knew what was going on with me. They just knew that like I was alone all the time, and I was this one's dumb, but I was getting kind of bullied. Like it wouldn't be like they weren't like hitting me or anything, but like they were definitely not emotionally very torturous in a weird way. But like the weird thing is it wasn't popular people, like people that are stereotypically popular. Like it was like FFA kids, like farmer kids and art kids, like people that were in art club.
Yeah, stereotypically people who generally don't bully.
Like how can you
stereotypically, right?
How can you be like the biggest loser in the group full of losers? You know, like that's what it felt like. I was like, man.
No offense to anyone.
Yeah,
just in case.
I mean, you know, if you're in high school, I promise it gets better after. Like I'm living proof that it gets better. I think like high school me would like poop her pants if she saw where I was right now. But like, it really does. None of it matters. Like, I think I realized that, like, right after I got out, like, I was like, whoa, like, all of this seems so small now. Like, all these things that I was, like, gonna, like, do something really stupid and permanent over, it doesn't matter. And I think that, like, after that, I realized that, like, the actions that I'm doing right now, like, about myself, like, obviously nothing super big, but, like, dyeing my hair, or being more extroverted, or talking to people that I'd otherwise be kind of scared to talk to. It doesn't matter. Like, in the end, like, it matters to me, but, like, it's not going to be the end of the world if someone doesn't like me. And that was, like, a hard pill to swallow. I really wanted everyone to like me, and in the end, nobody liked me. So then none of it mattered. But if I'm happy with where I'm at, I have people in my life now that I'm so grateful for, like my parents, all 4 of them, and my sisters, and my friends that I have here. They're just so important to me now. And like, I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. Like,
they're your people. They're people you can turn to when if something goes wrong. You can just trust that they're gonna be there for you.
This is like a tale as old as time. But if you have to pretend to be somebody else in order for people to stay friends with you, then they're not your friends, like, at all. Like, they don't deserve to be your friend, and you shouldn't feel bad for talking to them about things that bother you. Because that was like a big thing in high school when people were kind of stopping being my friend, is that I would admit that I just was not like mentally okay. Like, I would admit that I wasn't happy, and they would just like be like, oh, like, well, now you're just too sad to hang out with, so I don't want to hang out with you anymore. So luckily I have not dealt like with ongoing depression battles for a while. Like, I mean, obviously it never fully goes away, but like, I'm very happy right now. I love college. College was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me, and it really got me away from all that. Like, it got me away from this like small little bubble that my town is in, to like, there's just so many cool people here. Like, you're here. Like, I'm so glad that I met you. Like,
Aww.
you were like one of my favorite people here. Like,
I love hanging out with you too.
I was literally talking to Abby about this the other day. My roommate, by the way. In case I didn't mention, my roommate.
Just in case.
We were literally talking about, I was like, yeah, I love Ari. I'm going to miss Ari when she leaves. And she's like, you can't get attached to them Puerto Rican students still.
Oh.
Like, because like we had a friend from Puerto Rico last year.
Really?
Yeah. And he left like the same time, like in December. And we're like, man, why did we become friends with him? Like, you know.
I'm so sorry.
I'm probably going to go through that same, like, dang it.
Well, we're still friends, and now technology is amazing. We're still gonna like stay in contact.
Yeah, definitely.
But that was a very powerful story you just shared.
Sorry, that was a lot. Yeah.
No, I was here listening because I was just thinking how a lot of people might resonate with what you're saying and probably have thought of the similar things, and the fact that somehow you got into the thought like, wait, my family will also miss me. My friends, even though I don't have them now, my future friends, you know?
Yeah, I just miss out on a lot of stuff. If I think about that all the time. I talk to you about my scrapbook a lot.
Yeah.
I started that right after this incident in high school. And it was just kind of remind me like, I'd miss out on all this stuff if I would have like left, you know? Like,
so what advice would you give someone that might be going through a very lonely stage of their lives, and are they just thinking of like giving up?
Well, I mean, like, there's so many resources out there that will probably word this a lot better than me, but I would say tell somebody. Like, I know you want to keep it to yourself because you feel like if you tell someone, you're like spreading the pain, but like, if you keep it in and then you go through with it, you're not getting rid of the pain. Like, it's not leaving with you. It still goes to someone else anyway. So by telling someone, you're preventing that. Like, someone told me once that you are stronger when you tell somebody about your feelings than you are if you were to keep them in. It takes a lot of strength and courage to talk to somebody. Because you're admitting that, like, you're not perfect, that you're vulnerable. You're not weak. It's not a weakness, but it does feel like that sometimes. So it's okay to talk to people, and you should talk to someone, even if it's scary, even if you're not ready to have that conversation yet. You need to tell somebody. And I'm glad that I told somebody. I remember I told my dad first, and he didn't really know how to react. He's like, whoa, like, dude. You were dealing with all that by yourself and you didn't say anything? And I was like, yep. I didn't talk about it. Sorry, my bad. Cow bummer, you know? But so he was the first person that I told, and I'm glad that I told somebody because I got the help I needed. and I'm here now. So
You're here now.
Thank God, right?
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
thank
So,
God.
yeah.
And definitely talk to someone. Also, different people have different beliefs, but a lot of people, like, their beliefs help them out a lot through it too. I say it because I know cases also. So yeah, I don't know how to end this episode.
Oh man, we're done? Dang.
I'm mesmerized of this with this
Sorry.
story because it's so profound and also makes a lot of sense now that I know a little bit more about you, like how you are, how you live your day by day.
I don't want anyone to feel alone like I did.
Yeah.
Because I had no one to talk to. I mean, I had my family. I just didn't use them as like a resource.
Yeah.
I just was like, I felt so alone. And so I don't.
And it's so important
Yeah.
to help and understand, like, no one is actually alone, even if they feel like it.
No, there's always somebody that cares about you. It could be like the barista at Starbucks. It could be
Someone
your
remembers
next
you.
door neighbor. It could be your RA. Like it could be somebody. But somebody will always care about you no matter what. And I hope that story made sense. And I hope that, you know, people realize that they are important and that they are like taking up space in the world, and that space will be empty if they leave. So that's all I really got to say on that. I hope it makes sense when you guys listen to it.
You gave great advice, and I hope this story also serves as inspirations for someone else. And I'll help them along. So thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being my friend and still be here.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for you and everything you are. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. See you in the next time.
One more thing. Everybody should follow Ari on everything ever, because this podcast is like one of probably the best podcasts that's ever come out of the Arrow ever. Sorry, the Hot Five, my bad, but it's true. And even when Ari is done with all this college stuff and is like moved on to bigger, better projects, you should still like follow along and like see where she goes, because I know that she's going to do great things. And this podcast has helped so many people. Like I've seen it like firsthand, and every episode is so well produced and awesome. And yeah, so that's my plug for the day. So
I'm literally here about to cry. Thank you for that.
Don't cry, because I'm gonna cry, and I have fake eyelashes on, and they're gonna fall
my
off.
eyes are literally watering.
Don't do it,
guys. We're signing off. Thank you for this episode. Thanks for listening to this episode. Make sure to subscribe, and if you want more stories, listen to Chapter 1.